the world is holding its breath. From the imperial halls of Vienna, a political earthquake is ripping through the bedrock of the Western order, and nothing about this moment is routine. What's unfolding in Austria isn't a policy adjustment or a coalition shuffle. It's a firing squad aimed at the multicultural myth and a direct challenge to the bureaucratic empire of Brussels itself. Austria, long held up as Europe's model of neutrality, calm, and consensus, has flipped the switch. Fortress mode is active. Borders with Slovakia, the Czech Republic, Hungary, and Slovenia are being sealed until at least mid-2026, delivering what many now call the de facto death sentence of the Schengen Agreement. The fantasy of a borderless Europe is collapsing in real time as steel checkpoints rise and the Balkan migration route is cut clean in two. Vienna's message to the world is ice cold and unmistakable. National security is absolute. EU-mandated freedom of movement is no longer sacred. It's a luxury Europe can't afford. And yet, the real shockwave isn't the barbed wire. It's what's happening behind it. Austria is enforcing what critics call cultural martial law through a newly imposed charter of values. This isn't reform, it's an ideological purge. Integration is no longer encouraged, it's commanded. Anyone seeking asylum or state support must now sign what amounts to a survival contract. Absolute gender equality. Total supremacy of secular law over religious doctrine. No negotiation. Defiance is punished with crushing fines running into the thousands, or complete removal from the social system. This is the official end of blind humanitarianism. While Berlin remains frozen in political paralysis, Vienna has delivered a ruthless masterclass in regaining control. The era of invitations is over. Orders have replaced them. Even ruling coalitions that once clung desperately to the so-called firewall against the right have buckled under the weight of public fury. This is the fracture point. When a cornerstone nation abandons the collective illusion to save its own identity, the dominoes fall globally. Nation-states are awakening after decades of submission to supranational rule. The velvet curtain of artificial solidarity is being torn down, exposing a raw truth. Sovereignty is back. Central Europe is no longer a buffer. It is the vanguard of a new order where borders equal honor and tradition is law. The numbers coming out of Austria aren't statistics. They're a declaration of war on the status quo. As mainstream media strains to sell the illusion of stability, Vienna tells a different story. An astonishing 82% of Austrians expressed deep anger toward the old guard coalition of the VP, SP, and liberal elites. This government is no longer seen as legitimate. It's viewed as an occupying force, prioritizing EU decrees over citizens' safety and survival. Enter Herbert Kickl. His rise isn't a campaign. It's a mutation in Europe's geopolitical DNA. While leaders elsewhere drown in collapsing polls and failing infrastructure, Kickl has tapped into a brutal political truth. His doctrine is explosive in its simplicity. The law must follow politics, not the other way around. That single idea strikes at the heart of international legal frameworks that have paralyzed sovereign nations for decades. This isn't just about border control. It's about remigration. For the first time in a modern Western democracy, mass deportation for those who refuse to integrate or violate the nation's leading culture is no longer taboo. It's policy. Fortress Austria is being built as a blueprint for patriotic movements worldwide. Asylum magnets dismantled. Cash benefits replaced with vouchers. Permanent residency revoked for those who reject the host nation. The firewall has fallen. Once used to silence dissent, it has crumbled under the force of the streets. Over 100,000 people, waving seas of blue flags, forced the establishment back to the table. From that pressure emerged a new geopolitical axis, patriots for Europe. Kickl is not alone. He stands as the Western anchor of a sovereignist alliance stretching from Budapest to Rome, Warsaw to Vienna. By aligning with Viktor Orban, Austria has stepped out of Germany's shadow and into a new power bloc rewriting Europe's rules. Then comes energy realism. While much of the West suffocates under self-imposed scarcity, Austria demands pragmatism. Austrian gas for Austrian jobs echoes through factories hollowed out by ideological sanctions. Peace through neutrality follows. Vienna refuses to be a pawn in the Ukraine conflict, viewing billions sent abroad not as moral investment, but as stolen pensions. Critics cry authoritarianism. Supporters reply, exactly. To them, order isn't oppression, it's rescue. The media brands them extremists. Cameras on the ground tell another story. Mothers afraid of crime, fathers watching jobs vanish, retirees unable to heat the homes they built. As the blue tide floods the gray corridors of Brussels, a terrifying realization spreads among global elites. The silent majority has found its voice, and it speaks through a man who refuses to apologize for loving his country. Herbert Kickle is not just a leader, he is a symbol of reclamation. The old world is dying, and the people's chancellor stands at the gates. But just as Vienna ignites, an even greater shock looms from across the Atlantic. A leaked U.S. national security strategy under President Trump lands like a bomb in Brussels. The plan is audacious: extract Austria, Hungary, Italy, and Poland from the EU's ideological grip. A Europe of nations replaces a Europe of bureaucrats. Germany, not exit, implosion, by accelerating internal upheaval and empowering an AfD led government. The EU's engine room is targeted for collapse. As Vienna aligns with this new Atlantic doctrine, the age of the puppet state ends. Sovereignty is the new currency. 2026 is the year the old system cracked, and the people reclaim their destiny. The revolution isn't coming. It's already here.